Welcome and good afternoon here at the Hannover Fair of 2024. I see a large audience. I hope you're all having a good time. You are at the Hydrogen and Fuel Cells Europe, and you are at the public forum where we are interviewing interesting speakers and people from the industry to give you deeper insights, but also to show you basically the people that are working in this technology and what drives them. So next on stage, we are going to talk about powering the global green hydrogen economy. This is represented by the company REFIRE, and my guest on stage, he is the Vice President of REFIRE Europe. Please welcome with a warm applause, Dr. Massimo Venturi.
Thank you.
Welcome. Have a seat. The sofa is yours. So, Massimo, today you are representing the company REFIRE, but actually you yourself are a brand in the hydrogen world. You've been working in this area for many, many years. You've been through many ups and downs together with the technology.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you were gone. We are happy to see you back, but maybe tell us a little bit what happened.
Yes. So it's a real pleasure also to tell a little bit of the story. If you start 1998, early 2000, and by the way, my friend CSK was supplying me the first compressor for a fuel cell system, which we never had an idea how to work. Couple of years later, come to Germany, big numbers, claims, then zero products. Big number claims, second times. And the third time, I say, now it's time to take a break. Yesterday, we talked about frustration. I had a great opportunity to enjoy a break. I was sailing 9 months in the Mediterranean Sea, up to a point that I say, well, that's not enough. I have to come back.
And were there any insights from your time sailing that you are bringing back?
Yeah. So, if you are a sailor, and not only a nice weather sailor, you enjoy the power of nature. So first of all, you ask yourself, how can I use this power, right? You have the sun, you have the wind. But at the same time, you see the disaster that we are, unfortunately, producing. So if you think about not only the pollution that goes into the sea, but the sea temperature is so hot that in winter, it was last year. In winter last year, in February, there was the so-called Medicane. It's like a hurricane in the Mediterranean Sea. And I had the fortunate or unfortunate situation to stay 3 days closing my boat in a very small harbor, which has been half destroyed.
Oh, wow.
And then you think about, okay, is now global warming real? Can we really understand that we have to do something? And if you pull all this puzzle together and you reflect, what can I do? I remember the day at the end of July in Greece, I say, now I come back. And then I turn my boat and then I start sailing back,
okay.
Sailing back and to find a new job.
And you found it. You found it at the company REFIRE. Why REFIRE?
Yeah, that's... well, actually, it's a good question because REFIRE is not in Europe. It's not something that I had, in my business card. I had a chance to, with a certain person that I know, Chris Gazi, old friends for many, many years, which he was telling me the story about this company. And then I started to have a much more closer look at this company. And when they talk about the pioneering spirits, ecological mindsets, continuous evolution as a core value of the company, I say, oh, that's it. That's it. I'm still one of the pioneers on the hydrogen. I can give something. Ecological mindset for me is a must. So we cannot just wait that the other do something. So we have to do something. And so for that reason, I joined.
So if I understand you right, it was a lot about culture and mindset and mission, the decision that led you to REFIRE. Okay, I will give a short introduction of the company for those who are not yet familiar. So REFIRE is a leading deployer of commercial hydrogen fuel cell mobility and power. The company specializes in the design, testing, prototyping, application engineering, and production of fuel cell systems, for example, for buses, trucks, utility vehicles, you name it. So quite a long list, actually.
Yes.
So correct me if I forgot something.
Well, this is more I would call it downstream. The things which I like of this company is that we are not only trying to sell a product. This is tough to sell something, I know, but if you take one fuel cell engine and you forget all what is around the hydrogen ecosystem, it's just halfway. So I think that at REFIRE, we have a bunch of people which are so enthusiastic that we want to take care about also the upstream part, to produce hydrogen. We are also bringing all the actors together. I mean, many times we are not paid to bring people together, but we try to be the catalysator of all the people that with enthusiasm want to do some changes. Because if we still continue to debate, oh, we don't have this, then we don't do it. Or we must have this 100% perfect, or if not perfect, we don't do it. No, we try to bring all these actors together and move on the hydrogen ecosystem forward.
Yeah, actually, what you mentioned is quite true. It's this chicken-egg phenomenon.
Correct.
That, okay, we can't have hydrogen-powered vehicles if we don't have green hydrogen, but where does the green hydrogen come from? Yeah, we can't produce it because there's no demand yet, something like that. So I think it's great that you're working on the big picture. I learned that the vehicles that run with REFIRE's technology already have a combined mileage of more than 100 million kilometers, so the company definitely set something in motion.
Yes.
Yeah. Still, I am wondering, because there is this ongoing debate in the area of mobility, is hydrogen actually the right path? Why don't we use batteries? What's your point of view on this? Is it an either-or, or is there a place for both technologies?
Yeah. So normally I don't like the debate on the polarizing, yes, no, black, white. So the coexistence of any technology that can decarbonize, because what is the problem? Is the problem the hydrogen or the color of the hydrogen, or is the problem the CO2 that we have in the atmosphere? So saying that, which I believe is the CO2 and not the color of the molecule per se, is there is a coexistence. There are hundreds of applications where the batteries are for sure better than hydrogen, no doubt. There are some others which hydrogen play a major role. So for long truck, long haul, and think about a battery truck, electric, 44 ton. You may need for fast charging 1 megawatt or 2 megawatt charging. You have four or five trucks, so you have like the same power that you need to power a small city. And then you can convince the citizen of the city to shut off the refrigerator because you have to charge your truck. They do not match together. With hydrogen, you have one more flexibility, which allow you to do exactly what we want to do, is decarbonize in our atmosphere and do something for the environment. So I strongly believe on the long hauls. We have a lot of dialogue with cities which have a lot of battery buses, which are fine. They are very happy. Unless it's the summer and some of those buses have to cross the hill to go in the other side, because when they have air conditioning, your range goes down. So, and these cities say, okay, we will do all batteries, 70% in the city, but of all the other, we need a different solution, which is hydrogen. And mostly these cities are in the southern part of Europe, because Europe is centered in Germany, but there are also other places where there is a lot of wind and a lot of solar. So they can produce hydrogen at an acceptable cost. Means they can have part of the fleet with hydrogen. We also polarize very well the discussion on mobility. What we want to take more the attention is mobility is only one sector on the decarbonization. So do we attack as we did in major company 20 years ago, and we say, oh, we have all the passenger car will be hydrogen. And we choose at that time the most complex situation to bring hydrogen on the market. There are many other situations which are much easier and use hydrogen, chemical, steel industry. So let's start to have where it makes sense to produce the hydrogen, the green hydrogen, and use it where it makes more sense to reduce the CO2. On the automotive sector, which is also a stronger contributor for CO2, let's start which are the sectors which have a major contribution. Truck, for example. In Europe is known, so 2030, 45% CO2 reduction for trucks and then so on. Okay, so the legislation defined this. Now let's work together to make this happen. Don't find excuses.
Yeah, that's very true. Don't find excuses. Make it happen. There are many challenges along the way that we can definitely talk about. But first of all, I want to invite the audience, in case you have any questions, just raise your hand, and then I will come to you with the microphone so you can pose your question to Massimo. As I don't see any hand yet, I will continue with my question about challenges. So you've just described some challenges. Okay, there might be areas or local regions where we have certain circumstances like hot temperature, we need air conditioning, maybe that doesn't really fit with the battery electric solution in that particular case. So this is a technical problem and we can solve it from a technical point of view, but we also have challenges in the regulatory side, for example. What are the challenges that you think are the bottlenecks right now that are holding us back?
Hydrogen cost is written everywhere, right? So everyone is saying if the hydrogen cost is not going down, pick up a number lower than 10 euro per kilogram, nothing will happen. And I tell you, it's true. But I can also tell you that there are many, many examples in Europa where already today you can do it by 5. The problem is you need to find the right actors that start thinking small, duplicating, doing, demonstrating, instead of continuous debating that, unless it's 5 euro per kilogram hydrogen, we don't do nothing. So wait that the price go down before I do something. So this will not work. So with my team and with other enthusiastic people walking around Europe, we found several of those situations. I mean, I don't know, I don't need to know everything, but I didn't know that hydropower is not considered as green hydrogen if not built up after a certain date. Didn't know. For me, hydropower is green. I have a turbine. I don't produce the CO2, right? So, and there are places where, in Europe, 40% utilization. Because nobody is buying, and there is not enough cable to use all the power. So why don't produce hydrogen? And if you do the math, that hydrogen is lower than 5 euro per kilowatt, right? So let's start where the good examples are. Let's duplicate. And I tell you, if you match demand and production, these two things goes together and the price goes down. Just continuing debating that the hydrogen price is too high, for that reason I do nothing, is not the solution for the CO2, which is actually the problem, right?
Massimo, there's actually another thing that I want to throw in.
Yeah.
We've been discussing, okay, is it 5 euro, is it 10 euro per kilogram? Actually, we compare the price to a price by other technology that we are used to, that is fossil-based, and we don't factor in the real cost of this technology. So we are running into problems with our climate. It's becoming more and more obvious. You felt it when you were sailing, basically. You saw the changes in the environment. And still, we rely on a technology that is cheaper, but we are not really looking at the real cost, are we?
Yeah, that's... so we are based in a certain economy where my profit is better than the cost that someone else has to do it. So why I have to take care? So back to the example of this Medicane, the half of this small harbor has been destroyed, right? So who is paying? Are we paying because we were not taking care in the last 20 or the 40 years about the amount of CO2? Nobody was paying. Are the single industry or the the legislator, which were not taking up enough attention to make sure that if you produce too much CO2, you have to take some money, put somewhere, and the sponsor or the support the new technology to reduce the CO2 for the new generation. Because I think that, and this may be not, I'm not the angel, right? But I think that everyone is, if it's my pocket, I will not be so incentivized to do it. I will not save the world alone. But if the global, the systems, the government is setting some clear rules and say, look, do you want to drive your diesel car? I stop the subvention for diesel and I take the difference and I support to reduce the hydrogen price as an example. Then the people that have to choose this one or this one, I'm sure they will even be prepared to pay a little bit more, but they took the one that for their own kids or the parents or the next generation will be a good thing. I mean, how can we sleep well thinking that we are destroying the things that are happening maybe in 20 or 30 years? So, and there is where, back now to what I'm doing and my team is doing, and many people are here. So we need to find other people that think like this, and from also below the organization or the civilization or the people start to change.
Yeah, maybe we have to put this responsibility in the foreground. Maybe we need to be ready to sacrifice some margin, sacrifice some profit for the long-term profit that we have as a humankind, basically. So is this a responsibility that you see and you find within the company REFIRE?
So REFIRE is so small, and this, of course, is not making the huge profit. So for us, it's very difficult to say, okay, I take part of my profit. When there is a profit, it will be much easier. But there are much other corporations which have much higher profit. And there is more, in my opinion, the debate. If I take a number, an EVA of 5%, or I do 4%, I still make money. But I dedicate this 1% to support more technology development to make something better for the environment. And I tell you, I know a few companies where the CEO is committed to make a better world after, to take part of the profit of divisions to support other divisions, and not to just consider the division as a single pieces and say, oh, you are not making money, I cancel this activity. So, and this is, I still have to rely on people at that level that they say, okay, is profit the only thing which counts?
Yeah, that's a good point. I want to give the audience one more chance in case you have a question. I've seen strong reaction in the audience to the things you were saying, so you're definitely hitting the spot with what you mentioned. So earlier we've been talking a lot about the automotive sector, about mobility. So as a last question, I would like to talk a bit more about the stationary applications of the technology. Maybe you have some highlights or some projects that you can share about.
Yeah. Well, in this moment, and I have a few guys at the booth. So REFIRE is not only doing fuel cell system for automotive. You can take the same one and do it in a stationary, where it makes sense. And we do also electrolyzers. So there is one team now, we call it pioneer teams, that they are building up the whole green hydrogen chain, 3 gigawatt solar and wind. 1.5 ago, of course, to generate money. The 1.5 go to generate hydrogen. The hydrogen, green hydrogen, go part in the chemical industry and part in transportation. By doing this, you also will figure out that sometimes you have a cheap hydrogen and not enough utilization. So that are the cases where also stationary makes sense. There are other cases outside Europe. Europe, we have a pretty stable electricity net, where the electricity is not a given. So sometimes they have a strong interruption, but they have a lot of sun. So they can produce cheaper hydrogen, in that specific case, at $2.5 per kilogram. And for them, it's much safer to save this hydrogen for the moment where they don't have any more power, because in that case, they don't have air conditioning. And I tell you, if it's too hot, working without air conditioning is very tough in an office. So these are the topics on top of what we do in the automotive sector that we are strongly engaged.
Thank you very much. So in case you want to learn more about the projects that REFIRE is working on, maybe are open for partnerships, maybe you are looking for new customers,
Sure, sure.
then I can recommend you visit their booth. It's directly visible from here. It's number D28.
That's correct.
Yeah, so in case you have questions for Massimo, in case you are looking to dive deeper into the technology and meet the pioneers of REFIRE, go over there. We are actually going to have a little break here because it's at 3:30 when we have the awards ceremony here. So the perfect opportunity for you to walk over there, meet Massimo, and yeah, once again, thank you very much for being here on stage. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, you're welcome.